What's up, Success NP?
Hi there, guys. We're back again.
Welcome to another episode of Success NPs, where we are going to dive into the deep topics surrounding nurse education and professional development. I'm your host, Sandra,
And I'm Jackie.
and we are tackling the essential aspects of nursing education for today's episode on how to spot a good preceptor.
That's right. Having a supportive and knowledgeable preceptor can make all the difference in your journey as a nursing student or a new nurse practitioner. But what qualities should you look for in a preceptor? Let's explore that today.
Absolutely. So let's start with the first sign of a great preceptor, experience. A good preceptor will have ample experience in their specialty area, providing valuable insight and practical knowledge that the textbook can't offer. Now, again, I've had preceptors that have been super knowledgeable and they are inspiring so that when you leave that preceptorship, I don't know about you, Jackie, but when I left the preceptorship before, like I would want to be them. I was like, they're
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
smart. And
Yeah.
like, it would just inspire you. What about you?
Yeah. No, I think that's why I got into women's health because first I started in labor and delivery, but I had a great preceptor, in OBGYN practice. I had a great preceptor. My peds preceptor was horrible, like horrible. So I never even looked at peds. It really inspires you to kind of pursue, I think, that profession when you have a good experience in that field,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it's true. I had one preceptor one time. She could be listening. Whatever. Who cares? Here it is.
No
I had
names.
one preceptor. Yeah, no names. I had one preceptor one time that like I went looking for her and she was asleep, like on the job. Like
Are
I
you
had to go
kidding
look
me?
for her. No, I'm not kidding. So she was straight up asleep. It was a family practice. And so again, adult nurse practitioner, I was spending some time in family
Yeah.
and I had a patient. I had gone to see the patient by myself and like I was going to come with like check out with her. I couldn't
Yeah.
find her like anywhere. I was like, where is she? Like I'm looking all around. I'm like trying to get her to like, help me make the right, choice with my plans. And she was straight up asleep. So yes, like, and she wasn't very experienced. So like I ended up kind of getting up underneath the doctor that was there who was super bright, super hardworking. And so that ended up really helping me. And I feel like, again, it made me gravitate towards her because she was just super knowledgeable. Like it was a game changer. Like if you have a preceptor that doesn't really care and it doesn't seem to be like really about what, the job is, it just totally tanks it.
So you have to find your own preceptor typically with a lot of these schools. That's how it was for us. And it's still pretty much how it is today, with the exception if you utilize a company like NP Hub. But I had to find my own pediatrics preceptor and ended up being a physician. And I was hounding him a little bit because I needed to get my rotation in. You don't want to skip a semester, right? You want to go through your program. So he referred to me as the single white female. So I didn't know what that was, but I looked it up and it's apparently a horror story about a stalker. And I was like so uncomfortable after that. But I still did that rotation because I needed my pediatrics.
Don't need my time. Okay.
Like, what is that? You know what I mean? Like, what is, I think he was just joking, but I was very young and impressionable and but yeah.
Great.
Definitely different experiences.
Yeah. So stalker and falling asleep on the job.
I first
guys,
half Hispanic, just not, I don't know. Let's start there. I don't look it, I guess, but I am.
That's not accurate. Yeah.
That's not accurate at all. And then he would do the otoscope in the baby's ears, barely entering the ear canal and diagnosing them. I was like,
yeah. I don't know.
Something's not right here.
Yeah. I'm telling you, a good preceptor can make or break your rotation.
Correct.
And I had similar horror stories, but we've also had really good preceptors that completely change your whole trajectory in what you decide to do with your career. So yeah, that's big. So experience is crucial, but other factors and things that I think kind of play into who the person is are they patient? Are they, realizing that everyone learns at their own pace? Like, are they helping guide you, especially depending on where you are in your schooling? Are they helping you with the learning process to not make you feel rushed or inadequate? And
the communication, right? So you need feedback, whether positive or a little negative sometimes, to kind of guide you about what you're doing, And so I think that is really hard for a lot of preceptors just on this side of it now, looking back as preceptors now, it can be a little bit like, oh, I don't want to insult them or I don't want to, give an inflated sense of self maybe sometimes, but feedback and communication and just having that dialogue in the end is super helpful. So you want someone as a preceptor that's going to provide that for you, And also, obviously negative feedback can be done in a certain way so that it's not detrimental to the student, but
Yeah.
teaching and communicating is important.
Yeah. I had one preceptor that I remember thinking that she hated me. I was like, this
Yeah.
woman hates me. Like, she's not like me. Like, this is not going well. And then, because I just felt like she was always on me. Like, I'd come in and I'm like, yeah, I rock this. Like, I have it prepared. I did this. I did that. I
Yeah.
addressed this problem. Like, I'm just absolutely just crushed it. And then
Yeah.
she'd be like, yeah, what about this? And I was like, yeah, but like, I did all this right. Like, can you like,
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, she ended up, so I think I ended up saying something like, hey, I don't really think that like, I feel like I'm letting you down. And she was just like, oh my gosh, no. It's like the opposite. Like, I'm actually just like super like fine tooth combing you because you're very thorough. And, it was actually like
That's a good preceptor.
thing.
Yeah.
It was such a good preceptor.
Yeah.
So she was my favorite one. She was real sassy, just an old little lady that just loved taking care of patients.
Aww.
And yeah, she actually made me feel so good at the end of it because I was seeing patients on my own because of her. She'd given me so much autonomy, but she was always there that I just remember when I was in nurse practitioner school feeling like she's actually empowering me. Like, this is so cool. And at the time, I thought she thinks I'm garbage. And she's like,
oh, garbage.
So yeah, that was really
oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, so we talked about experience, patient, and then adaptability.
Okay.
And this is every student's different. Their learning styles and needs are different. Attention, all nurse practitioners and NP students, are you tired of feeling the disconnect between clinical rotations and didactic teaching? Say hello to Success NP's clinical booklet guides.
As NPs ourselves, we know how valuable it is to have a resource that helps bridge the gap between clinical and class. So we created the digital resource to do just that. Our clinical booklets cover 5 major NP tracks: psych, adult, peds, family, and women's health. Success NPs wants to create tools and provide support NPs need to thrive in their careers.
So why wait? Check out our Success NP Etsy shop, linked in the show notes, for our digital guides and other digital clinical resources. Now, let's get back to the conversation. Again, where you are in your program is different. And a good preceptor, I think, recognizes and adjusts their teaching accordingly. So like ensuring like if you need more support at the beginning, they're being a little more supportive, but as the rotation kind of goes on, they're allowing a little bit more autonomy. They're kind of, I don't know, I feel like you're super good at precepting. I haven't done it as much as you have, but like, I think you can speak to that a little bit, kind of like what it looks like for a preceptor to kind of, I think you have a term for it where it's kind of like, I don't know what the term is, but you kind of like training wheels.
Yeah. Kind of like advanced. Yeah. So like with my students, obviously at the beginning, you're like introducing them to the practice and all of that good stuff. And you're doing everything with them, right? And so I try to introduce something each time they're there to kind of do by themselves, whether it's getting like the HPI, last is usually the physical assessment, treatment plan, everything like that. But just with my different students, you can see some nurses are there like after a few weeks, they're ready to go and dive in by themselves, and others get very anxious. And so I can't get upset with that and be like, well, this student did it in 3 weeks, because everyone's different and everyone needs a different teaching style. But yeah, I love precepting. I have students that like text me like, hey, I passed my boards, or hey, I'm having a baby and I thought about you, that's super rewarding, you're like, because you think everyone forgets, after, they went through women's health, I'm never going to hear from them again. So that full circle is really cool, but yeah, adaptability as a preceptor, you need someone that's not super rigid, that can be flexible with you and your learning style. And I think as a student, if you voice that up front, if you're comfortable enough to voice like, listen, this is the way I learn. If you have a lot of, resources, paper resources, digital resources that I can look at as you teach, that will help me to kind of understand what's happening during these visits. Or no, I'm a verbal learner and just tell me I got it, so everyone's different.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny that you say that. Like, here we are, like all these years later, after being NPs for, oh my God, we've been NPs for almost a decade or more now.
More.
Yeah, more. Like what we are talking about is our preceptorships, like those clinical times, like we're still talking about those people all these years later. So like the impact you can have is so big. So again, if you're a seasoned NP, like precept, like take a nurse practitioner under your wings. And again, like another care I think is so important. And one of the things that I feel like you're so good at, Jackie, is like empathy. and putting yourself in the shoes of remembering when you were a student and like how vulnerable you were and just yeah, like you really could use someone to come alongside and understand the emotional
Absolutely.
challenges
Yes.
and kind of offer encouragement. I feel like you're so
Yeah.
good at that, and
Aw.
I think you should talk, like touch on that too, because
Yeah. Oh,
you're
well,
so good at that.
I don't know. I don't know if I would describe myself like as a sensitive person. I don't know. But yeah, I feel like empathy is super important. You can't forget where you started from. And like, obviously, this is a nurse practitioner podcast, but we do support nurses too. And a lot of our experiences do go back to undergraduate nursing. And, it still probably is a little bit, but I think we're getting better as far as the nurses eat nurses culture. But I still remember being in the hospital and I remember the nurses that had empathy for me and what I was going through and
Mhm.
who supported me in certain ways. And so just thinking back to that, I never want that person to feel, or a nurse or a nurse practitioner to feel that way. And so I do go out of my way, I think. And I'm very appreciative that you say that about me because that's very flattering to show
Yeah.
empathy and to understand, sometimes a student will have a family issue and they will, come to me and be like, I can't come to clinical this week. This is going on. I'm so sorry. And like, just really worried about what my feedback will be. And first of all, family comes first. We will work it out. Like if you have an issue, I will work around you and we can figure it out together because you're not going to fail out of your program because you have a family issue. Because again, that comes first. Do what you need to do. I will be here when you're ready to come back to me or adjust scheduling, whatever it is. But I think you have to just be a good human being, and remember where you started from.
Yeah. And again, like we learned empathy as nurses, right? Like
Yes.
we learned that as part of one of like the tenements or like one of the pillar post things that make up what we do as nurses. And it's just so strange that we don't give that to ourselves and to our other
Mhm.
NPs. And so we just need to foster that like conversation around, hey, listen, we're people. Just like we put ourselves in our patient's shoes, put yourself in your student's shoes and what that would feel like. And I know that I've not done the best job at times at being the most encouraging. Sometimes I tend to be a little bit more of like rigid and like I remember that with my students just being like, I don't want to do that again. Like that's just not it doesn't bring about what you think it's supposed to.
Mhm.
Empathy
Yeah,
wins every single time. So just stay in that spirit. I think you'll help out a lot of people. And a
absolutely.
good preceptor leads by example and they demonstrate professionalism, they show compassion and dedication to serving patients. And again, that role model to help other nurse practitioners see what we can do, see what we're able to do. A good preceptor is an essential to guiding you on your journey, which is what we're big about, right? I always say, enjoy the
Absolutely.
journey. Now we're
Yes.
empowering your journey. We're enjoying it. We're empowering it. And so I think a good preceptor can just be such a great guide and serve as a mentor.
And I think that we, as like nurse practitioners or seasoned nurse practitioners, right? Like, you get into your routine, you get into just going about your way. So as a student, you have to kind of speak up sometimes and advocate for yourself. Like, hey, why is this happening? Because you might think as a nurse practitioner something super common sense, super easy. They should know that. When at one time we didn't know even the basics of what we were doing, and we need to kind of have to go back to square one. So it's not that we don't want to explain the basics or start at that foundational level. It's just sometimes we forget like what we
Yeah.
didn't know at the time. And so as a student, just, advocate. I love when my students ask questions. Like I would prefer a zillion questions than silence because I feel like silence portrays I'm uninterested. I don't want to
Yeah.
be here.
Apathy. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So ask away, advocate if you feel like you're not getting enough autonomy where you think that you should be ready to go into a room and see a patient by yourself. Like just be your own best advocate, really.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, I think that's a good place to stop. Advocate for yourself, empower the journey. And yeah, I think that's all the time that we have today, guys. Again, our episodes are going to be just to the point, power punch, helping you invest in your career and grow. Thank you for tuning in to the Success NP podcast. We hope you found this episode helpful and inspiring a good preceptor. Until next time, take
See you
care.
soon. Bye bye.
See ya. Oh, one thing we want to do when we end podcast is to end with a quote on success. So our quote for today is success comes from knowing that you did your best to become the best that you are capable of becoming. So do your best. Good luck, guys.
Bye.